It is day 311, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today, we're going to be going over a game that is got a lot of pieces to it. It's a game I've only ever played on Board Game Arena. It was one of my favorite big game choices there. It's a little hard to pronounce, so don't mind me as I attempt this. It is Teotihuacan. I am not going to try to say that a bunch on this video. I just can never seem to pronounce the name. I believe it's based on Incan, but it could be Mayan or Aztec. But the idea is you have a large area where you are going to be moving around in 8 different regions. Now, depending on how many players you have, there will always be 4 players' dice worth on the board. You are going to start each with 3 dice with a 1 pip head up. And these are your workers. So when you decide to take a turn, at the start of the game, you'll be given so many resources. You've got gold, stone, and wood, as well as your cocoa, and then there is your victory points. So your workers will be randomly assigned to 3 spots, as well as your opponents. And if, say, you're playing a 3-player game, there will also then be, in each of the 3 rounds, a 4th player that is randomly assigned to 3 spots on the board. This matters because when you go to certain spots, if there are players there, you have to pay cocoa per color that is already in the region. So the 4th player just gives the ability for the potential of extra people to have to pay for. So when you take a turn, you move to a section and you do its whatever it is. Now this is where it gets interesting. Every time that you do an action, most of these actions will result in an increase in your pip. So you'll move to a location that says you can build part of the pyramid that they're building in the center. And you'll go and you'll have 1 die at a 1. So it'll allow you to go down below and it'll say, all right, well, you have to pay 2 stone. And you're going to get to place out one of the 3 available stones that are pieces of the pyramid. It'll have 4 symbols on it. You'll find any spot that is currently valid to drop it in. The pyramid has 4 levels. So at the start of the game, you can't build level 4 or level 3 yet at all. You can build a lot of level 1, and you have one, maybe as many as 3 spaces available on level 2. So you'll find any spot that's open and you can drop in there, but for every one of your symbols that you match up to a symbol below it, it'll give you a victory point. Then you'll get a victory point depending on the level you dropped it on. So level 1 is just a point, level 2 is 3 points, level 3 is 5 points, level 4 is 7 points. And then after you've done all of that, if any of the symbols you matched up were also colored on the one you're dropping, not the one you're covering up, then that'll indicate that you're going to go to one of 3 different colored locations that you're moving up on tracks. These could be the red, the blue, and the green. So you'll move up your track and potentially you could get cocoa, resources, or victory points, which tends to be the 3 major things you're going up on, unless you so happen to move up at the time into one of the indicated spots that's going to let you pick from a reward that is optional there. First player there gets all the options, and then as you go, fewer and fewer options are there for the people behind them. So that's one example. There's also a location where you can go where you can build steps onto this pyramid. There's a location where you can go and pay, depending on how many people you have, you're going to be able to go and place a representative onto one of 6 spots that's going to give you now bonuses. So whenever you go to or pass certain spots, you might get victory points, you might get cocoa, you might get the option to increase on a chart. You're going to have a spot that's going to allow you to get more of the stone. You have a spot that's going to be focusing on the wood. You have a spot that's going to be focusing on the gold. You have a bunch of these options. Now, what's interesting is you're going to go through a round, and at the end of the round, you actually have this calendar on the side. So in a 3-player game, there are 12 spots, but you'll actually have the white, which represents round 1, on spot 1, and the black will be on spot 11. In a 4-player game, you'd start on 12. At the end of a round, you'll move that white 1 spot. The game will have its round indicated that's ending when the white lands on top of the black, at which point you'll finish out that round in the case that it happened early, and then you'll play 1 more round, and then you'll score. And then you'll reset, and the black will move 1 spot forward. So now the next round is already 1 round, or the next level of the game is 1 round shorter now, and then you'll do it a 3rd time. So that's your basic turns, but during the game, you're going to have your workers increasing in their pip value. Now this helps because certain locations are going to be really good for If you have a higher pip value, you get a better reward. If you have groups of people together with high pip values, it's even better rewards. However, there are two things that happen. One is, at the end of when you have finished up the entire set of all your rounds and you're doing a scoring phase, you have to pay a cocoa for every 1, 2, and 3 level worker you have, and 2 cocoa for every 4 and 5 level worker you have. So minimum, you're paying 3, potentially up to 8, because you can unlock a 4th die. So you have to make sure you're prepping for that, for 1. Now you're wondering why I didn't mention 6. That's because you can get to a 6, but once you do, you're done. When you get to a 6, it is a special ascension moment, at which point the 6 will jump over. It's going to land on a special location. It's going to then activate that the white immediately moves forward a whole round, so you've now cost yourself, you and everybody else, around. You will then move up on a special, basically it's like a Day of the Dead type of track that's to the side. It's a big scoring track. And then you're going to go and pick one of 5 potential extras that you can choose in this game. You could get 5 victory points, or you could get 5 cocoa. You could move once up on one of the 3 tracks, or you could pay 2 cocoa and move up on 2 tracks, 2 of the same or 2 different ones. Or you could decide to go in and try to get yourself your final 4th die and unlock it, at which point I believe you also get 2 to cocoa with that. So that's all your potential options. There's a lot of strategy to this game, but why don't we jump in? Let's talk our 7 categories and see where this one lands for us. When it comes to the art, the box I always thought was really nice. It's kind of, if you're thinking of, like, say, Palanque, to me it's a massive upgrade to Palanque. It's saying the same type of thing. It's trying to sell the same type of time period and type of people, but Palanque is kind of lazy about it, and I feel they made a little bit more effort with their box and way more effort with their board. It's a thumbs up. Your components. You have a lot of wooden components for all of your different pieces that you're placing out, your woods, your golds, your stones. You've got cards. Cards are going to be going around that are going to be used for, well, I guess it's not necessarily a card, actually. These are actually going to be more cardboard pieces. These are to represent bonuses you can get, masks you can collect, which is another scoring method. So those are all really good. And then you get your dice, which are top quality. Thumbs up. Your price. Now, this game was a little hard to find. It wasn't impossible, but it was getting a little low. However, there is a Kickstarter for both relaunching the original and a big expansion that are coming out, and this has caused a huge revitalization of this. So that's really expensive if you're going for the huge area. But I would say this is going to probably cause it to be a little bit more available again. And this game's in that 60, maybe 70, but realistically $60 range. And for me, you're getting such a good, hard game here for $60. This is one of those games that I would add to my collection for $60. Despite as big as it is, I think that this one stands out. So I'm going to give that a thumbs up. Your difficulty. So I wouldn't recommend this to kids or even beginners. This to me is a experienced and expert only game. You can't come into this game without having a pretty good sense of how board games run. That being said, I think that if you have a good sense, this is one of those games that hits really well. It's a thumbs up. Replayability. Admittedly, it is hard to get to the table. You got to find a few people you know you can play with, and you got to make sure that you guys are interested enough to play this repetitively. I want this in my collection. I definitely would play it myself a few times a year, but I know finding people who are excited to play with me will be a little tough. This may be one of those games that I pick it 2 or 3 times for game night with my friends, and then otherwise it's convincing my wife and my family to play with me once or twice as well for the year. So I would get replayability, but everybody else may not as much. So even though I love it, it's got to be a thumbs down. Keys to victory. There's so many keys here. Are you focusing on the tracks? Are you focusing on getting your bonus payouts so that you could take advantage and make a chain? Are you focusing on getting just building up your pyramid? Are you focusing in on trying to collect the masks, or on that big payout that happens at the end of every round based on going up basically your Day of the Dead type sidetrack while putting out houses, which causes a multiplication payout. There's a lot of ways to get paid, and you could split amongst these. I wouldn't split amongst them all. I think you wouldn't get paid enough, but you could pick 2 or 3 and get mediocre hits, and it would work. For me, thumbs up. Is the game unique? I think this is an extremely unique game. Just the mechanic of the die and how you move around the board, certain actions cause the pip value to increase. You're trying to pay cocoa in order to make sure that you can get it, but you also have to make sure that you're not overpaying in cocoa during the game actions, because if you are, you're not going to be able to pay at the end. And for every worker that you miss a payment of cocoa on, for every cocoa you're off by, you lose 3 victory points. So if you had no cocoa and you had 4 level 4 workers, you'd lose 24 points. That would be huge. It's a giant detriment to your game. Now, for the record, you also have the right to ignore normal turn and instead go to a location, count up how many colors are already there, add 1, and grab that much cocoa. So there is a way to build your supply. It just means you're not doing anything to actually get points. However, I think the game is extremely unique. Thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? It's on Board Game Arena. I highly suggest you go and try it out. For me, that was the place that gave me the chance to really fall in love with this game. I have since had this on a list of really wanting to get it, but I understand that I'm not sure I'll get it played a lot with my friends and family, so I've hesitated for a while. I think it's one you could try on there and see if you like, and if you do, see if you can find 2 or 3. I would say if you have at least 2 people you can play with that really like it, and you feel like you all like it enough that you could play this at least 4 times a year, it's worthwhile to buy. Well, it has been day 311, and we've been speaking about the game Teotihuacan. Try very hard every time. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. And don't forget, jump onto Board Game Arena where you can check out me under the name The Meeples Champion. You can send me a friend request. You can ask me to play a game. I'd be happy to try this one out with you. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.